This week marks 20 years since 9/11. Senior national security correspondent David Martin was at the Pentagon that day. Since then, he and his longtime producer, Mary Walsh, have reported every development in the war on terror, including those who have served and sacrificed. Tonight, they look back.
With the Pentagon still burning and bodies trapped in the rubble, it was a small victory near the end of the day on 9/11 for Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld simply to hold a press conference.
The briefing here is taking place in the Pentagon. The Pentagon's functioning. It'll be in business tomorrow.
Behind him, in a show of undivided political support, stood the heads of the Senate Armed Services Committee. 3 days later, Congress passed a resolution authorizing the use of force. The U.S. unleashed its firepower, and by December, Rumsfeld was taking his first trip to Afghanistan.
They've captured a number of al-Qaeda. They've killed a number of al-Qaeda. They've wounded a number of al-Qaeda.
The U.S. military looked invincible until March of 2002, when 7 Americans were killed in the Battle of Roberts Ridge. One of them, Sergeant John Chapman, can be seen on drone video charging across a snowfield directly at an al-Qaeda machine gun position. American troops were tough and they were brave, but so was the enemy, fighting under the constant threat of being annihilated by airstrikes. As in all wars, it came down to fighting as much for each other as for any cause. Army Captain Will Swenson put his wounded Sergeant Kenneth Westbrook on a medevac and gave him a kiss before returning to battle.
You know, we had a moment, we looked at each other. He almost had a smile on his face.
Did you ever see him again?
I never saw him again. 1 month later, he passed away at Walter Reed.
Osama bin Laden was killed in 2011, but the war ground on. In 2012, we visited the wounded at Walter Reed, where amputations, many of them multiple, were running at more than 20 a month.
What was the damage?
Both legs amputated.
Staff Sergeant Eric Myers was on his 3rd tour in Afghanistan when he stepped on a booby trap.
You know, most people back here think the war's winding down.
Over there on the ground, it's not winding down.
Yeah.
It's still just as intense as it was.
The hard truth at Walter Reed was that Afghanistan changed them more than they changed Afghanistan. Now the war has come full circle. Major General Chris Donahue, the last man out of Afghanistan, was a junior officer serving in the Pentagon on 9/11.
America's longest war has come to a close.
Except now, no politicians were standing behind Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and Joint Chiefs Chairman Mark Milley when they appeared in the Pentagon briefing room.
This is tough stuff. War is hard. It's vicious. It's brutal. It's unforgiving. And yes, we all have pain and anger.
A 20-year war is one in which some of the last to die, those Marines killed by a suicide bomber at Kabul airport, were infants on 9/11 with no idea what was happening.
That again was CBS's David Martin. And as we remember that day, CBS News will have special 9/11 coverage throughout the week.